To pick apart the Treasurer's speech, I'm joined in the studio by Chris Richardson from Deloitte Access Economics. And Chris, is it fair to say that there's an inevitability about changing the personal income tax brackets? Because as the Treasurer outlines it there, it sounds like there's this ticking time bomb with people ultimately being choked as far as taxation is concerned over the next 3 to 10 years.
Yeah, and look, it just keeps going. As wages rise, people get pushed into higher and higher tax brackets, and that's why, you know, that's part of budget repair over the next handful of years. But as the Treasurer said, it's taxation by stealth. It can be quite unfair, and I love the fact that in the speech today, he actually nominated the main victims as the least well off in Australia. The low income earners are the ones whose taxes rise the most, and over and above that, they can lose benefits as well.
So that suggests to you, does it, that when or if changes come in this area, it's across all of the brackets, all of the thresholds, not just fiddling at the top?
Oh, look, absolutely. Bracket creep affects everybody, but proportionately, the people who pay the most extra tax are the people at the bottom. We've got a progressive tax system. It rips and roars away at the start as those rates rise. And so if wages are just pushing you up, that's where the pain is felt the most.
It's also noted by the Treasurer that there hasn't been a meaningful move, apart from some carbon tax related stuff, there hasn't been a meaningful move since 2007. Now that suggests a reluctance by governments to touch the golden goose, if you like. Why is that, and what are the dollars involved here? Are there any rule of thumb measures if you go moving 1 cent or 5 cents, what that costs?
We haven't seen any further movement since 2007, 2008, because it costs too much at a time when the budget is under a lot of pressure. And the other headlines around today, you know, China's share market's falling. That pain in China is increasingly getting felt in the budget, and that's the Treasurer's problem. He didn't actually promise tax cuts today. He promised options around tax cuts because the budget itself is still under so much pressure, and the main lever you can shift, that one he mentioned, the point at which the dollars at which tax starts, that's the most expensive one to shift.
So why is this responsible or even saleable now?
Because of the other side of the ledger. Not only is it, you know, taxation by stealth, you know, so it's ugly in that sense, but it is very unfair. It hits people at the bottom, not just because their tax goes up the most, but because they can lose benefits as well. And government is genuinely getting in the way of people working more, low-income people working more. And so when that becomes a handbrake on that bit of the tax system is a genuine roadblock to growth.
So if we look globally at the figures, it rakes in 170 billion. How much could a government massage the rates and thresholds and reduce it by how much?
Look, it does get expensive. So fiscal drag, as it's called, bracket creep, runs at about, you know, every year you get about an extra $3 billion because it's happening. If you were to hand it back, year one it's $3 billion, next year it's 6, 9, you know, it rises very fast. And that's the catch-22. They want to do things about spending, but they're blocked in the Senate and otherwise there. They'd love to do things about tax, but the promises today were very, very careful.
Yes, we'll have to wait and see on timing, and that's completely unclear. But the deficit word, I don't think was mentioned in the speech proper by the Treasurer. How meaningful will further or even catch-up spending cuts have to be if a government moves in this area?
And again, that is absolutely the catch-22. We spent a decade where, as a nation, we voted for lots of extra goodies around spending. You know, it began with family benefits and baby bonuses, most recently disability insurance, but we haven't yet voted to pay for it. And so Treasurer's completely right. We should do stuff about bracket creep, but it's expensive at a time when the budget's already under pressure.
So you see economic sense in this, and although it's not your realm really, political sense in terms of long-term sustainability for Australia, is it responsible?
Oh, look, at some stage we definitely need to do something about this. Treasurer is absolutely right. The tricky bit will be that one-word answer at the end, the yes. It's not just a problem for the Treasurer, it's a problem for Australia. How do we pay to repair a budget and to take care of this bracket creep issue as well?
Okay, and are there any other ways other than those sort of broadly flagged by the Treasurer, the touching of rates and thresholds? Are there any other approaches that could be done on the income side that would be more beneficial right now?
No, look, I think that's where the direct action is. However, if you look at the ways to pay for it, you go back to that 2014 budget, there wasn't a whole lot of, I guess, joy around the politics of paying for it. So we want these things. We're just not willing to pay for them.
And that'll be the question for politics into the future, I suspect. But Chris Richardson from Deloitte Access Economics, thank you.
Thanks, Rick.